Good morning, disc golfers. Joe here with Joe's Disc Golf, and I have a special treat for you. Today is the Battle of the Beef Part 2. In this corner, we've got my Glimmer Justice. And in this corner, we have the Glimmer Chameleon Moonshine Nico LaCastro Anvil. Yes, these two discs on paper are nearly identical, but can the Westside Anvil out-beef the dynamic disc Justice? I am going to answer that question here, and I know a lot of people are going, do I get the Justice? Do I get the Anvil? I hear they're basically the same. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody on YouTube talk about these two discs together, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about both of them. Right off the bat here, the Justice is my favorite disc. This is my, people call it a utility disc. This is my everything disc. This is just not for utility shots for me. This is for everything. I like the firmness. I like the way the rim feels and everything on my forehand, especially. Backhand feels like a normal mid-range. Got the same kind of curved edge as everything else. Now, the Nico LaCastro Anvil, Moonshine, Glimmer, all the fancy stuff here, feels actually a little firmer. The flight plate, there's no real bend to it. I'm muscling it pretty hard. I don't want to break it. The rim does feel a bit, it might feel a little bit shallower. I'm just kind of looking here, eyeballing it. They're very close. The Nico feels just a bit different in my hand. I don't know why. Overall though, two very fantastic discs, both of them in pink. Both of them are fantastic. I just finished my warm-up, so I'm going to take a couple of these, rip them in the field, see what happens. Then I'm going to go play around. Any shot where I would use the Justice, I will also throw the Anvil. Now, this is not my normal throwing one. This is technically my backup. The reason I'm choosing to throw my backup to compare, I've barely thrown this one, so it's practically new. This is brand new. I don't want to throw a beat-in Justice compared to a brand new Anvil. That's just not a fair comparison. If they're beat in at all, it's just not a fair comparison. So, without further ado, let's get to some shots. First, here's the backhand with the Anvil. I honestly was not sure what to expect with this one. I know everybody said it's like the Justice, it's like the Justice, it's Westside's Justice, but I wasn't sure what to expect. So I threw it kind of like my Justice, and boy did that thing curve the whole way. I mean, the entire time on a backhand, that thing was just curving to the left. Now I took it on my forehand next, and you could kind of see the same results here. It just, on a forehand though, it goes to the right. And it was just crazy. I put some flex on it and just watched that thing look like a C, either direction, whether it was forwards or backwards. Now to compare this, I took my Justice, took this on a backhand, and for the most part with the Justice, I can get that to fly straight. Then at the end, it just takes a hard left turn. There was a little bit of flex on there, but you can just see in that shot, it just goes, and then at the end, it just goes left. Same thing now when I throw it on the forehand. It's going to go straight. It's going to just keep going, and then all of a sudden at the end, it's just going to do a hard right turn, and it's going to skip. Now in both of these, I was able to get the Justice and Anvil next to each other. Well, I just finished all the field work for the Anvil and the Justice. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised at the initial results here, but let's see how these discs act out of my hand when I'm throwing them for real on a course. Let's go check out that footage. Okay, so hole 5 here at PFW is the first hole where I'm actually going to throw my Justice and Anvil as a comparison. Just to my right here, there is a gap with one tree to beat, and then it opens up beautifully on a forehand line, giving you a great chance at a birdie. Now, let's see how these two discs compare when I throw them one right after the other. First up, I have the Justice, and from this angle, it's kind of hard to see what the line is, but right there, I managed to hit the line that I wanted to hit with that Justice. It was a beautiful shot. Unfortunately, when I take the Anvil up here on this shot, I kind of miss it a little bit. I got it a little too high, went a little too far inside, so I ended up coming up short, but not a bad shot. Okay, so here we are. We've got the anvil right here. There's the basket. And just a little bit further up here, we have the Justice right there. Ignore that Justice in the back, that's my real shot. This was my test shot after my real shot over there. I'd say both of these are within margin of error. Although I will say I had to try a lot harder to get that anvil to go straight. Hole 5 is another hole that is something I will be definitely using my Justice on. From my point of view, it goes to the right, but as I turn around, it'll be left, so I'll be throwing my Justice and anvil on a backhand shot. Let's see how they handle the dog leg. For this first shot, I'm taking the Justice. There is one tree that I'm aiming at right here that if I hit right in front of that tree, I know it's going to be a good shot. And from this angle, you can definitely see that that Justice hits that line perfectly. Comes in, dives in, it should have a nice skip up near the basket. Now the challenge is to get the anvil to do the same thing, to hold straight that line, because this thing just wants to turn so hard. Fortunately, the way this hole curves, it actually works to my benefit on this one, and I was pleasantly surprised at where both of these discs ended up. Alright, so right here we've got our anvil, and just up the hill we have both of our Justices. Can't say I don't like my Justices, but again, they're about 20 feet apart. The anvil did nick a tree, so I would call this, again, margin of error, basically the same shot. Hole 9 has a nice dog leg to the right. This is my left. Your right. This is a perfect shot to go backdoor to get in for an ace run. I usually use my Justice on this one, so I'm going to throw my Justice and then my anvil. See how they fare out with this. See what happens. Let's hope we get an ace on this one. So here's the deal. This is my second Justice shot because my first real shot that I've counted score on went beautifully. So this one, I was really excited about this, got it a little too hard, and I hit a tree, which then led me to take a little too much power off this anvil shot and caused it to turn early and not end up exactly where I was hoping. But the results were still pretty good. Alright, so here's the Justice, a little short of the basket, as you can see there. Unfortunately, I hit this tree because I didn't get it out quite far enough. So a bit of user error on that one. Just a bit further up here and far closer, we have the anvil. This one made it through. I threw it a little bit harder, benefits of going second. But overall, if I got the Justice out the way I threw the anvil, I feel like they'd be the same shot. Alright, so Studio Joe here, filling in for Fieldwork Joe. Unfortunately, some of the footage that I had was pretty terrible audio quality. There was an airplane flying by, then they started cutting the grass, and then the wind started picking up. There was a hurricane, fire, locust probably too. I'm just trying to think of every excuse I can. But finally, the conclusion to this video. Should you get the Westside Anvil or the Dynamic Disc Justice? Well, that's a tougher question to answer than I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be either a very clear winner where, yes, this disc or this disc, whichever one, the Justice, the Anvil, one of those was going to be way more overstable, way more understable, or I thought, honestly, they were going to be identical. And with what I found, the discs both ended up in roughly the same location every single time. Really, it comes down to, one, do you like the way the rim is on this one? You can kind of see here, it's more of an angle. And on the Justice, it's got more of a bead on it, you can kind of see there. So with that, there are slightly different flight characteristics. The Justice will fly straight and then make a hard right turn or a hard left turn if you're throwing it forehand or backhand from a right-handed person's perspective. The Anvil, on the other hand, will just start turning the whole way. It won't all of a sudden just die. It'll just kind of go the whole way. So depending on what you want to do with that shot, one disc might be better than the other. Overall though, if you're just talking about a wide open field with not a lot of trees, not a lot of anything in the way, they're the same. I wish I could give you better recommendations. Personally, I like the ability to have my Justice fly straight and then turn. I find that way more useful. You might find something different. You might like it where it does turn the entire time. So that's where the Anvil is going to come way more in handy for you. Now, this is the Opto X Moonshine. So this one is more overstable by a bit than a normal Anvil, so your mileage may vary. Overall, I think they're both fantastic discs. I think you won't notice a difference really between the two, especially, let's face it, if you're throwing this, you're trying to get out of a tight spot, unless you're me, then you're throwing it all the time. It's just going to come down to personal preference. Do you like the way Dynamic Discs makes it, with the way the rim is, with the bead, or do you like the way that Westside Discs makes it, where it's more of an angle? There's not quite a bead on this one. There you go. Unfortunately, not a clear recommendation, not a clear winner. I'd call this one a draw, but thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I can't wait to see you all in the next video.